All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. It is 8:30 p.m. on the east, 5:30 p.m. on the west, and right here, right now, we got an inspiring artist, one of the best in the West Coast. We got 16 to Life right here, right now on the line. How you doing this? How you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. Glad to have me on.
Hey man, I want to say thank you so much for just taking the time in your evening and actually coming on the radio station.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, man. Like I say, it's an honor to be on here, and I'm just happy to get a chance to be on your show and speak a little about my music and what I'm doing.
And I gotta ask you, like, what made you decide to actually get into the music industry?
Well, the music industry, or basically just my love of rapping, man. I've been rapping for a long time, and I would say maybe Sugar Hill, even Run DMC. Those are people who kind of inspired me to rap, and so just doing it for so long that when I got an opportunity, I just wanted to, just show my art and my love for the game, I guess.
And also, your name's 16 to Life. I have to ask you, how did you actually like get that name?
Well, around 1994, I got arrested and subsequently convicted, and that's how much time that I ended up getting, 16 years plus life sentence. And so my nickname is Chill. My friends call me Chill or E-Chill, but there's already a few artists rapping under that name, so I didn't want to be confused with those guys. So I just figured I'd maybe come with 16 to Life.
And if you don't mind me asking, man, like doing that life sentence, man, like when you were in there, because like me personally, I did some time in jail myself. That's the first time I ever actually announced this publicly, but I couldn't imagine facing a life sentence, man. But I have to ask you, like, what was your thoughts going into that, and like, how did you actually get free?
Well, my thoughts going into it was, I was out there, I was running around in the street, living the street life, and honestly, my thoughts were it was just an extension of the life that I was living. I hoped that it would never come, but I always knew that it was a possibility. And so, me personally, I just rolled with the punches, and I'm always been blessed to have kind of like a good sense of humor, and so that made it a lot easier. And for the most part of it, I just tried not to think about my predicament or the situation that I was in, and just had to deal with it.
And if you don't mind me asking, what was it like in there? And if you don't mind me asking, whereabouts did you do your stay?
Well, initially I went to a prison. It's called Salinas Valley. I was in several prisons around California, but initially I was in Salinas Valley, which is like a maximum security, the highest maximum security that California has. It's 180, and it was like survival of the fittest. I'm from a small town, and so when I went to prison, I didn't have a lot of friends on the yard. You may have some people who are from the larger cities. When they go to prison, they may have 10 or 15 people they grew up with. And so me, I was a smaller guy from a small city, and so it was, it was hard, and it was like I say, survival of the fittest. It was like just hard to explain. But I'll give you a small story. I left what's called reception. It's Tehachapi. It's a prison where you initially go, you get housed, they figure out where you're going, what prison you're going to, and then they send you off. So I happened to catch the chain with me and this other guy, and so he was actually younger than I was. I was about 25 at the time. He was 18, and so he gets up there, and one of his friends brings him a bunch of items, to get him situated with being in prison, some shoes and some deodorant and cookies and things of that nature and stuff. And then so we're walking around, hanging out, and about a month later, come to find out that this guy that's brought this guy all this stuff, he's done something in another prison. So now, since these guys are immediate homeboys, it's up to this guy that I caught the bus with to stab this guy. And so I'm thinking like, wow, then the cold part about it is everyone on the yard knows it's going to happen except for the guy that's getting stabbed. Like in prison, in California prison, it's segregated. So you have the blacks, and then you have the smaller, gangs inside the blacks. You have maybe the Crips, the Bloods, the up north people. Then you have the whites, and you have the Mexicans. And so what they'll do when a situation like this occurs, they'll go around to the other races, and they'll let them know, hey, man, we got some business to handle over here. So when you see some scuffling, that way they don't get confused and think it's some of their people and run over there, and then it turns into a bigger issue. Because like I say, everything is segregated by race in California prisons, so. And so they spread the word around that, hey, this guy, we have to get this guy off the yard. Now, my cellie, I happened to be in a cell with a guy who had been in prison for a long time, and he was really respected, so he was one of the first to know. And then he let me know that this guy was going to get stabbed, and they spread it around to the other blacks. And so the day it's supposed to happen, I see both these guys, they're laughing and drinking at the water fountain, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is some cold stuff, and then maybe about 15 minutes later, he went over there and he stabbed the guy, and that was the first time that I'd seen someone stabbed in prison, which made me realize, like, wow, this is just really, it's some cold shit going on in here.
And I do have to say, I personally, when I was doing my time, I did about a year in a facility called Central East Correctional Center, man, and my range was just filled with like murderers, a whole bunch of bad people, and I actually saw some guy get stabbed, man. And I have to say, it doesn't leave you, man. A lot of people say when you
Right.
leave prison, you can forget about it. Nah, man, that stuff really does haunt your dreams, man.
Right. Well, it traumatized you, and then like when I first got to prison at the time, there was no warning shots or nothing. So guys would start fighting, and there'd be the police in the tower with the Mini 14, and he'd start shooting. And they would just Plus, there wasn't any fist fighting for the most part going on anyway. Most people had knives, big giant knives being made. Matter of fact, when I first got there, I was there about 2 days. Now, before I went to prison, I was going upstate to Billings, Montana. I was out there, hustling and selling drugs and whatnot. And there was a pimp that I knew out there. Well, just so happened, this pimp guy is working in the kitchen. And so when I go by, he says, "Hey, he knows me." So one of the other guys comes over to me and talks to me. He asked me where I'm from. He knew some of my friends, and so he brought me a big giant knife and slid the knife under the door and said, "Here you go, homie. You're gonna need this." And so it just, that type of stuff right there. It just, everybody's got knives and you're walking around. It creates, like you say, a traumatizing effect on you. Once you get removed from that later on, and you realize that, I was in a serious situation. I didn't see several guys stabbed. I was in prison when a few guys was killed, and just through the grace of God, I was able to come home from it.
And I do want to say, I'm glad you're home. I'm glad you actually get to share your artistic side of things, man. Because, like, I'm gonna be honest, man, you are a very talented individual, man. So I'm glad that God gave you that opportunity to come home and show the world your talent.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Very good to hear. Like I said, I've been rapping for a long time, and just, I was incarcerated for 24 years, so I never really got an opportunity to showcase any of my talents. And so I'm just happy to try to do whatever I can. Just it's really more for the love. I love rapping, and I just like I like to do it, and so I'm just gonna take a shot and see what I can make out of it.
And the one thing I do want to ask you just before I move off the whole prison topic, when you said you did 24 years, like this is me personally just curious. Like obviously when you went in there, there was no internet, CDs were still a thing. When you came out and now everything's all so technicalized, like was it really hard for you to transition into this like futuristic environment?
Well, for me, it kind of was because, like you say, I didn't really have any access to that type of technology. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of prisons are flooded with cell phones, and they came in or like maybe around, I don't know, 2006, 2007, but right around that time, and I had a cell phone for about 8 or 9 months, but right around the time that I got mine was when the whole parole system was revamped. Initially when I first came in, even if you had life with parole, it was basically a life without parole since because the way the parole board was set up, they wasn't paroling any life. It was an unwritten rule, and maybe during that time they might have paroled maybe two out of thousands of lifers. So they was the rules was unfair and stuff. So I say that to say later on, once the system got revamped and I started to see lifers get released, I told myself that I was gonna stay away from all that type of stuff, because they want you to be disciplinary free for a certain amount of time. And so once I got caught with that cell phone, I told myself I wasn't going to mess with them no more in order to try to come home. But there are a lot of people who have, 5, 6, 7, 8 cell phones. They get caught with one, they get another one, get caught with one. So, but yes, for me, since I wasn't really used to that type of technology, it did take a while for me to transition into that type of thing. And it's still something that I don't do well, because initially when I first came home, I would let a lot of my loved ones do things for me instead of taking the time to do it myself. But I realize now that that's kind of like that was a disservice to myself now, because I'm still kind of lacking on on learning that type of stuff. And then for me personally, for a long time, I never felt I was coming home. So they have like computer classes and stuff in there, but I never took none of that stuff because my mind was like that I wasn't coming home. I had accepted being in prison for a while, and so I just like, why should I go take this type of class or this type of trade when I'm never going home? So like I say, that also turned out to be a disservice to me as well.
And also, under your music side of things, you've also done work with CO of the 909 Boys, which is one of my personal favorite hip hop artists out of California. And I have to ask you, how did you get connected with CO
Well, actually, C.O. Loke is a lifetime friend of mine. Shouts out to my boy C.O. Loke. He lived around the corner from me when we were younger. And so we always, talked, and I was a few years older than him, so the age difference, we didn't really run together a whole lot due to the age difference, but I'd see him, I'd say hi. A couple of his sisters was in my grade. So, we were more closer just due to our age. But now, when I was in prison, I was able to record a tape. They don't let you record, but I got a hold of some recording material, and I recorded the tape in there. And the tape, I sent it home to my mom, and it didn't come out too well. But by this time, the 909 Boys and Steel Loke, they had blew up. They was doing pretty good, and they was, on the radio and especially well known in the Bannon area. So my mom, Bannon is the town that we're from. So my mom, she got the idea, well, maybe she could take the tape to Steel, and he could get the tape fixed or whatever, and he ended up getting it fixed and put it on CD. Well, after this, he started to just, he reached out to me. He started coming to visit me. Even brought my mom to see me. And at this point in time, I was like about 5-6 hours away. So it was quite a drive. So he came up there a couple of times, brought my mom and my daughter, and then he came up there a few times by himself. So, and I really want to just send a big shout out to him, because you have very, very few friends, that's like that. That'll take time out of their life to come up there to see you, to visit you. If I ever needed anything, I could call him and ask him. He was always there. So, so he always continued to push me, wanted me to record music over the phone, even when I was incarcerated. And then, so when I was paroled, we just, hooked up. By this time, he's doing his solo thing. So we just hooked up from there and started making music together. Now we formed a group called Bangtown Business.
And I do gotta say, man, that is what you call real friendship, man. Like, not a lot of friends will, like, a lot of people say, when you go away, you'll really find out who your true friends are.
Oh, you most definitely, because especially if you're out there, you're living the gang life. You have some friends who unfortunately end up passing away. A lot of my good friends passed away, my real good close friends, and then you have some of them who grew up immature. They mature out of that thing. They start a family, which you can't blame them or knock them. They start a family. They have other type of priorities now that comes before maybe writing you or sending you money or looking out for you. Then you have some friends who really weren't friends at all. And they don't care that you're gone and stuff. So like having a friend like CO it was real. It was comforting to know. And then not only me, it was a lot of friends that we had that's incarcerated that he would send money to, send pictures to, and the most important thing that I think that he done for me, which I don't even know if he knows it or not, is just sending the pictures. Like I say, being away from home for so long, you haven't seen your hometown, your friends, and then so we have like every summer they have these picnics out there where we're from, and he take pictures of all these people, and it was just that to me that was the most important thing, just being able to see, seeing people I hadn't seen in years and years, and then every now and then I may run across somebody that I grew up with. So we'd be sitting on the prison yard just talking. Hey man, whatever happened to this person? Whatever happened to that person? Then maybe a couple of months down the line, all of a sudden I'd get a big old thing of pictures from Steel. Okay, and then so we're looking at these people trying to recognize who is this, who is this, who is that. And so just small things like that really matter. So like I say, once again, I want to send another shout out to him. He don't really know how special things like that are when you're locked up.
That's most definitely true, man. Mail from family and friends and getting pictures really does. It kind of takes the pain of being in the cell away just for a little bit. You know what I mean? It brings you back to a safer place.
Right, most definitely.
And also, you and CO as well, man. Last summer, before this COVID-19 pandemic hit, you guys performed at the Bar 83 Lounge Showcase. I have to ask you, what was it like being on stage with CO, and just what was that experience like?
Oh, that cool. But we didn't perform together. We did a couple songs. He did a couple of songs, and I did a couple of songs, and it was just real cool. You know, like I said, that was my first live performance since being freed, and it just the people just really rallied around me, really liked my music, and came up to me. I sold a few of my CDs and stuff, and it really gave me a feeling of that I should continue to strive and try to make more music, because since I've been gone, the sound of music has changed a whole lot. Now it's I call it skinny jean music. You got a whole lot of these rappers who they sound alike, and it's just the beats are different, and so I just didn't. Sometimes I was having like doubts of like, is my music still relevant now today? And so just that was a confirmation that it was, and like I said, it inspired me and made me feel that I should continue.
And I most definitely agree. Today's music is definitely skinny jean music. It's
Right.
I don't know if these individuals try to come up with that crap back in the '90s. Let's just say they'd have a shallow grave.
Right.
We're just gonna throw that out there. But I also saw on YouTube as well that you did something called the Mozzie Bass Rock Challenge. Can you tell us a bit more about that challenge, and how did that come to be for you?
Well, another one of my friends, Big D, actually he used to have a radio station for a while. When I got out, he's another one of my lifelong friends, and stayed in contact with me also when I was incarcerated. So shouts out to him too. My boy Sean Smith, also known as Bummy, Big D. He got a couple little monikers that he goes by. But so when I get out, he called me, and he came to see me a few times when I first got out. But he had called me and told me, hey man, they having this challenge right here. This guy is he wants you to record a verse on his beat, on a song that he's done, and then upload it to YouTube or whatever. So I done that, and he was gonna get the winner. He's gonna get the winner like something like $5,000 or something. Three prizes, like 5,000, 3,000, and 1,000 for first, second, and third. So anyway, I end up uploading the challenge, and while I didn't win, I have the most views on there. Even now today, I think if you go in there and look, it's Mozzie Bass Rock Challenge. I'm rapping in a Great Puma shirt. Last time I looked, I had something like 11,000 views. And initially, when I first done it, I was just hoping to maybe to get 50 views. I didn't think that I'd get that many views. Like I say, which once again was a confirmation to me in my mind that my music is still relevant, and that I should see how far I can go with this. I got a lot of positive feedback from people who didn't know me. People just making comments and stuff. So like I say, once again, it just made me feel that people do like my music.
And also, I saw a photo on your Facebook of the East Siders, OZ and G Ride. I have to ask you, how did you originally get connected with them? And first and foremost, I have to say, my condolences to your friends.
Oh, well, I most definitely appreciate it. And like I say, once again, those guys are lifelong friends, especially OZ more than G-Ride, just really being by the age difference. The town I grew up in is a small town with one high school, and so many of us, we have been there literally since kindergarten. Since maybe 76, 75 when we first started kindergarten, all the way up through high school. So it's more like we're family, And so OZ, his mom, and my mom is good friends. His grandfather and my dad was very, very good friends. I used to go up there and visit his grandfather all the time when I was 5 or 6 years old. And so we just grew up together. We grew up together, hanging out, rapping. And OZ was like maybe a year younger than me. D-Ride was probably about 6 or 7 years younger than me. So me and OZ, our bond was more, we were tighter and closer together. And it's one of my good friends. Like I say, rest in peace to him, man. He was tragically murdered. Maybe I believe in 1998 he was murdered, and out there in the street. And so shouts out to him and G. Unfortunately, D-Ride he also lost his life to gun violence as well. And so shouts out to my buddies out, and I miss him.
And also, 16, directly after this interview, I'm going to be playing one of the songs that you submitted to the radio station feed, and one of the songs that I really took a liking to, personally. It's called Hard to Find Me. I have to ask you, can you tell our listeners a bit more about the story behind that song? That way when they hear it, they can wrap their head around the meaning just a little bit more.
Well, that was just basically really just a catchy hook that I came up with. I always felt that in the event I had never was incarcerated, because right around the time that I was incarcerated, the gangster rap scene was really blowing up, you know, and I just feel that I would have had a chance of being signed to a big label, you know, and so that was just something catchy that I came up with, you know, that Dr. Dre didn't sign me because he couldn't sign me. I was incarcerated, and so, you know, it was some lyrics that I had when I was incarcerated, and I always liked that beat that I rapped over the Alchemist beat. I've always liked that beat, and so I just created the hook in my head and recorded it and put it down.
And I also have to ask this: what is next for you, 16? Is there any new projects, anything else you want to promote? Will we still have you here live on the radio station?
Oh yeah, I just recently wrapped up about 2 days ago. I've been working on this album, mixtape actually, called Free Gas, No Charge. And so I finally wrapped that up Sunday. Actually, wrapped that up. Ordered me some CDs. I'm gonna try to do it. The old-fashioned way. You know, hard copies. I've been, doing a little studying and looking into the rap game. And unless you know, doing it independent for the most part, you're not getting any money. You know, and you put a lot of work in, and it's very little pay to my understanding with the streaming and stuff. So I finished it up. It's called Free Gas, No Charge. I'm selling them for $10 a piece, 16 songs deep. And then also I got a project with CKOR-DB. We're in a group together. It's called Bangtown Business. And hopefully pretty soon we're going to be releasing a CD called The City of Cannon. And so with this COVID-19, it's kind of slowing up everything and making things a little more difficult. But we're still going to get through it and push through it.
Hey, most definitely. And if you can, when we get off the air, if you can, for that $10 CD, man, let me know your information. I'd love to snag myself a hard copy.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And then I'd like to say, anybody else out there who may be interested, you can contact me on Facebook under the name Bangtown Business. That's BANGTOWN, and then separate word business, but I'm spelling it BIZ apostrophe NESS. And also, I have a YouTube page. You can go on that and check me out there. Leave me a message on there. The YouTube page is 16. That's 16. DALIFE. 16 the life. And I'm also on Instagram, and that's 16 underscore DA underscore life. LIFE.
And I gotta ask you before we wrap this up, 16, is there anybody you want to give shout-outs to? Anybody that is going to be listening to this live or on demand you want to say hi to?
Oh, man, I want to give a shout-out to, of course, my boy, C.O. Loke, man. I want to give a shout-out to a lot of my friends out there who I was also locked up, who came home, man. My buddy Boogie, he's up north. I don't know if he's listening, but, man, shout out to him. He's been a big supporter of my music, and shout out to my mom, of course, and my buddy K-Love, and let me see who else I got to shout out to. Just everybody who supported my music, man, and tell me that they like it. It really inspires me to keep going. You know, like I say, I got a lot of people out there, so I can't name everybody, but everybody that supported my music and inspired me to keep making more beats and more raps and stuff.
And I gotta say, 16, thank you so much again for coming on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM. It was an absolute honor, man. Like I said before, I'm glad to see that you're home, and I'm glad to see that you're showing the world your autistic side, man, because I'm telling you, you are a phenomenal, talented hip-hop artist, and I'm looking forward to hearing more, man. Thank you so much.
All right, once again, thank you, and like I say, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to showcase my talents on your platform, and I appreciate it, and I like your show.
Hey, man, thank you so much, man. I greatly appreciate that, and hopefully down the road we can make this happen again.
All right, most definitely. You have a good day. Thank you for having me.
You're most certainly welcome. Have yourself a wonderful night.